All right, everybody, we're live. Episode 59 of the Don't Know podcast. How is everybody? Glad to be with you again. It's nice to be back, especially in the live form, especially in the form where I get to talk to you face to face, which is pretty nice. Today's a pretty nice day, so I decided why fucking not? Why don't we just do it outside, get everything going, and that's great. It's honestly been quite a journey, guys. I have some bad news, unfortunately. I will start off the episode with the bad news just to get it out the way. But I will say, if you were here for the Kingdom Hearts section of the podcast, then no, not today. It won't happen. Unfortunately, guys, the emulator that I was running and the thing that I was using, it wasn't working. It doesn't work anymore. So, if you guys watched the older episodes, though, or if you guys watched the Kingdom Hearts episodes, I did say that I was happy with it. That was just me fucking around, and I guess if people like it enough, then we'll do it. We'll for sure do it. Before we get the podcast started, I just want to say, I should have brought it out. It's in the trunk, but if you want your official Don't Know podcast hoodie, go on and go to don'tknowmerch.bigcartel.com. That is don'tknowmerch.bigcartel.com for those who didn't catch it the first time. don'tknowmerch.bigcartel.com. Go get yours. They're selling out. I only have a couple left, but if the demand is high, then obviously the production is going to be higher. So we're just here doing, we're here living, we're here. Another beautiful day, honestly. It's been great. I've been going on a lot of hikes. Sorry about that. That was my phone. But I've been going on a lot of hikes with a couple friends, and it's actually really nice to just be out, get some vitamin D. You know, like if you guys can see, my skin is kind of glowing, honestly. My skin is kind of glowing a little bit, but I don't know. I kind of like this setup. I have just to put things into perspective for you guys, I have the iPad just right there in the middle of my car. And we're just trying something new. If it gets darker, if we go long enough, then I'll turn on the lights. But actually, we'll give you guys a visual enhancer. I'll go ahead and do this. Lots of things to talk about, guys. Lots of things. I recently watched the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. If you guys are into that, that shit is awesome. If you guys haven't seen it, I recommend it. Not a lot of good movies are coming out this year, guys. Not a lot of movies have come out this year, I should say. But that definitely is a good movie. That definitely is something that I didn't expect to like it that much, honestly, because it doesn't, if you guys have followed the story, it doesn't have anything to do with Caesar anymore, which I thought that was going to be a bummer. But honestly, I think it just kind of helps the story in a way, because the monkeys are talking now. The monkeys are, it's just conversation with monkey. Like I told my friend, it's just 2.5 hours of monkey. It's like a cheap zoo. But regardless, that movie is great. Honestly, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. This is not going to be a spoiler episode because sorry guys, I got a message. I wouldn't be that guy, honestly. This is a podcast and I respect that, but it's my fucking podcast. So this is what we're gonna do, guys. Sorry, I just got a message, but like I said, I'm not gonna spoil it. I definitely think I'm gonna try to review it, or at least talk about it in a manner that doesn't spoil it. But I definitely do think that just speaking monkey helps. And if you guys don't know, I'll just tell you guys the basic layout of the story. And it's the story follows this young monkey generations after Caesar. Caesar's dead, and basically monkeys have taken over. Us humans have become dumb because of the virus that made them smart, made us dumb. And they're just hunter-gatherers. They live in a village who tend to... Oh, and by the way, if you guys are wondering what that sound is, that is a de la rosa mazapan. Perfect. I got one of these. I'm excited. I haven't had one of these in forever, and you guys are gonna see me fucking destroy it. But the clan of the young monkey that the story follows, his name is Noah. Noah and his village breed, or I shouldn't say breed, but they raise eagles, and the eagles help them by gathering fish for them, by just being there, just being eagles. And the story It follows where many strange things are happening around his village, and nobody really knows why. So they send out this other monkey to investigate. And when he comes back, he's all fucked up. There's so much in between that sentence that I just said in the movie, but I'm just gonna paraphrase it. But he comes back all fucked up and no one notices, and then he tells them there's more coming. And that's where the title comes in, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So basically a kingdom of monkeys has been rising, and they're doing it for Caesar. And that's what they say. They're doing it for Caesar, which is not right. It's not true. They're doing it for Caesar, they think. And later on, because of that monkey that they sent out to go investigate all the weird things that have been going on, because of him, they're all coming to take down his village. And he sadly is too late. They get to his village, and that's basically where the whole story commences, of how he has to go and save people from all this kingdom. And that's where he meets the king, and that's where he gets to basically be the one who takes charge and basically takes over the kingdom. I shouldn't say takes over the kingdom. I should say he fights to free his people from the kingdom and go back to his village, basically. And that is basically the gist of the story. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's pretty recent. Damn, look, even my mazapan is glowing. I don't know if you could tell, but my mazapan is glowing. But that movie, guys, I give it like a 20 out of 10. I recommend it. So far, I want to tread lightly with this next statement. But I think so far, that's the best monkey movie. And arrest me, beat me if you want to, but I think that's the best movie. Not because Caesar ain't good or the past movies. The past movies had to exist for it to lay out this whole, this whole adventure for young Noah. But basically, I think it's getting to a peak of that, where I don't know, they just have it so down. Like, they just know exactly what they're gonna do, because they've put out, if you guys don't know, they've put out three. There's a 3 trilogy movie, which is Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and then War for the Planet of the Apes. And those 3 movies take place with Caesar being the leader. In my opinion, one is a very good, like, how would you say? One is a very good baseline for, like, what the movies have laid out. And then two just takes a turn, because by then they're just so advanced now. That one might get you a little lost if you're watching it because of that, because it just takes such a big turn. Humans are still part of the story in number 2. By number 3, they're almost extinct, but for sure, like, they have something to do with it. And then by the end of the last movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, there's just no humans at all. And I don't know, I think at some point we humans kind of ruin it, because it's a Planet of the Apes movie. And if you go back to the one that came out in 1960 something, or the one that came out in 2002, it's all monkey there. So I think it's right. I really think it's right that they're going back to the baseline, and that they're basically going back to the roots. Now, I don't want to take my hat off, but it is getting pretty hot. My hair is all slicked back, and I don't know if I'm ready for you guys to see that. So I'm just going to keep it on, even though it's getting kind of hot. But as far as the Kingdom of the Apes movie goes, great cast. Everybody, great cast. I applaud them. Great cast. I think they all really got, like, the behavior of each monkey down, because it's not just one type of monkey. Obviously, it's gorillas, bonobos, apes, chimpanzees. It's all that shit. And obviously, a gorilla ain't gonna walk like a fucking chimpanzee or act like one. And I think they show it really well in the movies, that the other movies didn't do quite so well, because since Caesar was the main guy, he sorry, messaging somebody again. More important than the podcast, I guess. Next guest. But yeah, since all those movies had to do with Caesar, it really kind of puts aside all the other monkeys, even though some of them do have like some kind of minimal role in the movies. But it's mostly all about Caesar, which is kind of nice to see a change of pace between those movies. And like I said, 2024 has not been that great for movies. Let's just be honest. Not a lot. I'm sure you haven't gone to the movie theater a lot. I'm sure of it. And the reason I'm sure of it is because I have it. And if you have, then great. Recommend me a movie that's come out this year that's good, because fuck, I don't see any. But I will say, though, that the trailers that they showed in the Kingdom of the Apes movie were pretty good. And this might be a not so popular opinion, but I'm going to say it anyways. I think that the next Bad Boys, I've never seen Bad Boys. Let's just get that out of the way. If you're a Bad Boys fan, I'm not. I'm not a Bad Boys fan. I don't know shit about it. I've seen clips of the funny parts, at least of 1 and 2, I think. And who doesn't recognize that soundtrack? Bad Boys, what you gonna do? But yeah, I think that the new one looks really good. At least funny, I think. The trailer made it seem pretty funny, pretty intelligently written compared to the other ones. Because I remember way back in, what was it, 2022, 2021, where Bad Boys 3 came out and everybody was so excited of it. Personally, since I hadn't seen any of them, it didn't look that good as a movie from the trailer. You could go back and tell me it's the greatest fucking movie ever made, but I didn't see it. I didn't see it in the trailer. I didn't see it. So, as far as that movie goes, I think it'll be pretty good. Now, I will say, I'm going to put this out there. I want you guys to listen to me. After the whole incident with Will Smith, no more. No longer for me. I never really liked Will Smith other than like I, Robot and I Am Legend, and that's it. That's it for me, honestly. Like I said, I'm not a Bad Boys fan. I'm not a fucking Prince of Bel-Air fan. I'm none of that shit. To be honest with you, I'm not really into shows. And I don't know why. I really don't. I used to be super into shows, but I think a lot of them just let me down. I hope me fucking around with this mic ain't bad. I'm just fucking around with it. But I don't know. I've given shows some try, or a couple tries, and they just aren't for me. Anytime somebody recommends one, I'm like, well, I have to sit through 6 hours of fucking dragons, fucking bitches. No thanks. I could get that on the hub. Nah, I'm just kidding. That's not my thing. Another message, guys, from our very important guest. Another one. But regardless, oh shit, that's what I get for messaging people on the podcast. But I think it's nice. I think it shows you guys a personality. I think it shows you guys just what I do on my day-to-day when I'm not here hosting the Great Don't Know podcast. Honestly, guys, I appreciate everything you guys have been doing, all the comments you guys have been leaving, all this feedback, all the views, all the suggestions, everything. And I'm just going to take a time right now to shout out David McFarlane. If you're out there watching this, I appreciate you, brother. David McFarlane, he just shouting him out just because he just said some kind words, and I thought it was important to shout out people who make me feel special. So thanks a lot, David. I appreciate that. And again, this podcast is me. You guys will always get all of me and all of my guests. And I hope you guys get the realest version of us, you know, because I've been doing this for 5+ years now, and I don't want to stop. I really don't. I don't want to slow this down, because more than just speaking to me, this is like a, I don't want to say book, but this is like, I don't even want to say historic because I feel like that word is so immense, but this is just my imprint, this is just what I decided to put out into the world that is me. Because like it or not, you guys have like 50+ hours of my voice and of me and of my laugh and of my awkwardness. I don't know, whatever the fuck you guys want to call it, my bitchiness, I don't know. But you guys getting all that. And I think that's the realest form, and that's the only way I could do this podcast, is just to let it out. Just be me, sitting in the car, sitting here talking to you guys. I think that's important. And I've said this before, but I really want my son, if he ever looks at this, ever, go to bed. I'm just kidding. But if he ever looks at this, I want him to just have a story of who his dad was. I want him to have a story of his 22-year-old dad, because he's 5, or he's about to be 5. And I don't have a memory of my dad at 5 years old, so I think it'll be nice, Have I said some dumb shit? Have I said some bullshit? Of course. Of course I've said some bullshit and some dumb shit and everything, all of the above. But that's me, and he understands that. We bounce off each other pretty well. He's been asking me some pretty... It is getting to that age where he's starting to ask very, I wouldn't say difficult, but questions I haven't had to think about in a while, if that makes sense. If you guys remember, if you guys go back to like episode, I don't know, 14, 15, I don't remember how long ago it was, but there was a time and point where I had a studio, I had a podcast, there was an apartment, and that's where I was. But that's not me anymore, and I have to accept that, and I have to move on with it and just build whatever I can build. And I will say that there was a point in time where this podcast wasn't going to exist anymore. Not because I didn't want it to, simply because I lacked effort into building this, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is I lacked the will inside to really put myself out there and force myself to do this like I told myself I was. Because when I started this podcast, I told myself one thing, and it was just keep it going. No matter what, keep it going. That's all you have to do. Just keep it going. No matter what happens, no matter who the fuck talks to you, no matter how many guests you have on, just keep it going as long as possible. And when all that went away and I fell into a dark abyss, which was my inner bitch, pretty much. Which was my inner bitch, really. Like, looking back at it now, I was just a teenager with a dream, or a teenager with some crazy idea, even. Like we all are. I think when we're teenagers, that's when the world just kind of explodes full of ideas in your head, because now you can move, now you have control of your body and your emotions. I can move my hands, I can do what I want, I can write, I can read, and the world seems kind of endless. And it just slowly, once you realize that, it starts getting taken away from you. Not on purpose, really not on purpose, but just by what people say, what people do, things that tick you off. Just life pretty much just slowly starts scratching away at all that fucking amazing imagination that you have. It just fucking keeps digging its fucking talons into you and wanting to scratch just all that off. And I realized you can't let it, because once you let it, you die with it. All that scraping away that life is doing, it's not to hurt you, it's to shape you. And it really made me realize that we are much more than we say we are. I try not to put any kind of negativity towards my son. Sure, like I don't know, just average stuff, you know, a pat on the back. I don't know. I try not to feed my kid negative emotion when it doesn't call for it. And personally, I don't think any situation calls for a negative emotion. Because think about it. You are in control of you, correct? At least I hope you are. But you are in control of you. You can choose to have a bad day or not. Sure, shit happens. You guys have been through this part. There's an episode out there called The Worst Day of My Life. Which, looking back at it, is not that bad at all. But there's an episode out there called that because it does feel like that. It feels like you just ain't shit sometimes. It feels like you ain't who you think you are. Especially when life, like I said, is just scratching away at who you are. And it just takes a special word, I think, a kind word from anybody, something that really hits deep to just tell yourself, you know what? This is it. This is me. This is what I'm going to do. Because that's the gift and the curse that I took upon myself, is that this podcast exists and it's up to me whether it goes extinct or not. And the way I see it is I'm not going extinct, so why should this podcast? I'm here. It's a beautiful, what day is it? It's a beautiful Wednesday, May 15th. So why would I listen to all the other David McFarlanes that just spoke shitty about me, you know, or said anything about this that could steer me the wrong way? Because believe me, people have. I don't tend to talk about my podcast too much outside of the podcast. Literally everywhere on social media I post it. But in my day-to-day life, I'm not going around advertising, oh, here, watch this, watch that. Not because I don't think it's good, because I love my podcast. But you really do have to protect the integrity of what you're trying to build. And it's not that you shouldn't tell anybody, it's that the people you tell are the source of your accomplishment, basically. I've told people about my podcast. They've seen it on my shirt. They've seen it online, and people do compliment. People compliment my stuff, tell me good job, tell me way to go, tell me. Most of the time, I received a message one time, actually, I should say. It was pretty detailed, but it basically just said how much I've grown, both in physical appearance, vocally. And it really made me reflect, because when I started the podcast, I was just a teenage boy. And I think that's the problem with a lot of us. I really do. Is that, unfortunately, when we are in our adolescent selves and teenage selves and we're discovering and growing, we really just grow up to our environment, adapt to our environment, and most of the time that environment isn't the greatest to bring out the best in you. And it's just the life that the hand that life dealt us. It really is. There's many books out there of great scholars, great businessmen, leaders, how they all came from nothing. I think it's a big statistic, like 90 or 95% of all millionaires are not inherited or got just random money or won the lottery. Like, it's 90 or 95% of all millionaires have had to do it their own way. And with a statistic like that, there's no way you can't win. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way. Like, something has, whatever you got. Let me explain it like this. Whatever you got in your mind, that's special to you. Nobody else can see it. I can't see it. As much as I want to bring it out of you, I can't do it for you. And as much as I want to grab you by the throat and tell you, hey, bitch, get started on your fucking dreams, I'm not gonna do it. For one, that's abuse. Two, there'll be cops involved. But as much as I want to do that to people, I realize that that can't be me. Maybe through this it can be me. Maybe through this and me speaking in some way or another it could be me. But I can't be the type to grab people's hand and guide them through all what I've gone through. Because I have had people tell me, hey, how do I start a podcast? How do I do this? How do I do that? Let's start a podcast. Let's do this. Let's do that. And honestly, I had to really see the development of all this, like it or not. As simple as it could be, or as little as you think I'm fucking doing, it's still something, you know. It's 5 years worth of something. And I had to see my way through all that. So for me to just take up somebody who says, I want to start a podcast, I wanted to start a podcast and I did it. Why don't you? You know what I mean? Like, I had to do it and I did it. So when somebody comes up to me and is like, hey, I want to start a podcast, but I don't know what to do, that already to me is like then you're not going to do a podcast. And I'm specifically talking about podcasts because, well, I'm in one and you're listening to one, but yeah, I don't see that in people. When they tell me I want to start a podcast, all I could do is think about my teenage self and how I wanted to start a podcast. And I did. It was just like a calling. It was just like an itch that just wouldn't go away. As quickly as I got it, I knew that's how quickly I had to get it out. And unfortunately, some people don't see that. Unfortunately, I heard this great quote that was, I don't want to mess it up, but it was a great quote. I actually saved it. I will pull it up. But the gist of it was that many of us go out all our lives with not doing what we want to be doing. And I'm trying to find it. Sorry guys, it's taking me a little bit. Okay, I found it. Basically, the quote says, some people run away by packing their bags. Others get away by standing in the same place, doing the same things all their life. I had to save that because it spoke to me. It spoke to me in a way that very few little quotes do. I don't save many quotes. But that one just spoke to me because in all my life, all the jobs that I've been to, all the things that I've done, I see it. I see people with dreams in their head that are never going to become a reality because they don't want it to. And as simple or as hard as that is to say, I'm living it. So it's just normal. It's normal for me to put myself out here and do something that I feel uncomfortable, because I wouldn't say that I'm uncomfortable doing this podcast, but it is definitely an uncomfortability being so open in front of a screen. But that's okay. It's okay to just be there, you know? It's okay to be present. It's okay to just be doing what you want to be doing without anybody telling you what you should be doing. It's okay. I will be the first person to tell you that whatever your idea is, it's okay. It works. It'll work. You just gotta work. You just got to put in the time. And that's all this is, guys. That's all this is. Whatever dream you have in your head, it's just time. It's just time. And something I heard along the way, too, was that many of us have this big dream of like 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 6 years down the road, 10 years down the road. Regardless of what your plans are, those 10 years, those 5 years, they're going to happen. So do you want to look back and say, oh shit, I've been doing this for 5 years, or 5 years ago I had this idea and I still haven't done it? I couldn't live with that. Personally, I couldn't. It was just like an itch, like I'm saying. And now I'm here in my car with my beautiful lights on. And you guys can't really... Oh, you guys can see it on my hand, but there's a beautiful rainbow on top of me. I think you guys can see it better. But yeah, this is just my fucking version of my dream. And I'm loving it. And I'm living it. So whenever somebody tells me that they have something, some kind of plan, some kind of idea, I never shut it down. Or at least I try not to. At least if I think it's a good idea or some... Because it might not be a good idea for me. Like, definitely, I don't think that podcasting is a good idea for everybody or anybody, honestly. Because a lot of us don't even know what we're talking about. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts personally. I used to. Maybe just to, like, get the vibes, get the gist, what I was going to do, but... I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts anymore, but whenever I do get clips and stuff that come up, most of the time it's not even information trying to be given out. It's just some kind of bullshit talking about fishes have been growing dicks in the Antarctic or whatever. I don't know, but it's not, there's not something about them that really, you know, sure, they could have billions and millions of views, but it's not genuine. It really doesn't feel genuine, to me at least. And I'm not gonna say any podcasts in general, but like I said, I think I follow specific accounts which are like podcasts that are coming up, and seeing them grow and move in a way that these big podcasts aren't doing it is just, it's fun. Like, it's fucking fun seeing all these new ideas and things like that. Seeing all the new setups, seeing, like, just even the background shit that people have going on. Like, it's special. You're special. If nobody told you that, you're fucking special. And I guess now that we're here and we're talking about the concept of being special, I think that this would be a great day to talk about. Sorry, excuse me, that masapan came up. But I think we'll make this the Mental Health May episode. If you guys don't know, last year I did a Mental Health May episode in which at the start of May and at the end of May we had like a reflection of just the year so far. This will be the introduction to our year, or halfway through the year almost. 5 months. So I really think that, guys. I really think that everybody out there is special in some kind of way, except nobody tells you that. And if they do tell you that, they don't mean it. Just know Big Dick Daddy Louie means it. Just know I mean it. Because nobody's gonna do it for you. Nobody's gonna believe in you unless you do. And nobody's gonna put themselves out there for you. And I think as men, I will speak as men because I'm a man and I'm not a woman. Can't speak for a man, can't speak for a child. I think as men, we have a hard time understanding that nobody's coming. That whatever our ideas are just our ideas. And along the way, on this journey we call life, we find like-minded people that'll stick to our ideas. And if our ideas are we're gonna get fucked up, we're gonna get drunk, we're gonna get drugs, you're gonna find it. Sure. You'll have some crazy stories to tell, sure. You'll have some fun, sure, but you just wanna be passed out on the floor, fucked up all day? Sure, that sounds fun. That sounds fun right now. And I think that's where like this mental health may comes in, is that we're not, as men, we're not all there, you know. When we're born, I think it feels like something's missing, but we just don't know it. And I think what's missing is the self-fulfillment. And the self-fulfillment of doing things for you. I think that's the missing piece of the puzzle that we all search for. Because there's some kind of calling as to what you should be doing. There's an idea in your head that can be sprouted into something and you can watch it grow. But it's up to you. Like I said, it really is up to you. You could choose to hang out with those fuckhead friends who are gonna get you drunk and fucked up. You could choose to fuck all the bitches in the world, and you that's what you're gonna get. And for me, this is just as an example for me. I chose this podcasting route, right? Little did I know that I'd be getting compliments here later. Little did I know that I'd be getting views. Little did I know that people would be commenting. Little did I know. And had I not started that, I've always had that doubt. Yeah, my podcast is going to do great. Yeah, I would be a bullshitter. And I think it's very hard for men to get out of that bullshitting mentality. As difficult as that is to say, because I think we have all been there. We've all bullshitted ourselves into believing something that, you know, wasn't the best for us. We all knew some girl that was not it, and we chose to stick around. We all knew a friend that wasn't it, and we chose to stick around. And that's life. I'm not blaming anybody for that. And I don't think you should blame yourself for that either, because in this journey that we call life, I don't think there's mistakes. I really don't. I think you could choose to see them that way. But personally, from what I've seen and the people I've seen grow and actually build something of themselves, they don't do that. They choose to be different. And not different by putting anybody down, not different by making themselves seem bigger than they are, not by that. They define themselves as different, or they radiate different because of the different shit that they're doing. And if you have an idea and it's there and you see a concept of how it's going to grow, why not? I don't know. I think of that all the time. Why not? Why not? Are you scared? It can be scary, but the fear is what has to drive you. The fear is there. I've heard this as well, which I liked. And it was all that fear, all that anger, all that anxiousness you feel of starting something new and not doing it, all that feeling that you're getting of like starting fresh or something, that's your body getting ready for it. That's your body preparing itself for some scary, mundane task. And that's okay. Like I said, that's fine. We have to accept that as men. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but the other little lights came on. But you have to start to realize that about yourself, is that there's nobody coming. And even if there was, they're not going to be there forever, you know what I mean? I tend to think about that a lot. How so many men out there want some kind of like impulse to get started, you know, but that impulse has to come from you. It really does have to come from you. That impulse is you. That impulse is your body telling you, hey, go this way, motherfucker. Don't take it that way. And I just ran with it. I really did. Which if I could go back, or I guess this is a message to my former self, to my teenage self who started this podcast, congrats. You're living it, you're doing it. You never thought it was possible. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but in high school and junior high, I didn't even know like what it was really, but at the time. But I would do a bunch of live videos all the time. I just go around in class and shit. Oh, look, this is what we're doing. Like all the time, 30 minutes long, an hour minute long, 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long. Like I would just go live all the time. And I didn't know why. It was just fun. And maybe that's just what started this, you know. If you go back to my accounts, they're there. All the live videos are there, and I like going back at them and just looking at how much it's all changed. And change is not bad, guys. Change. Everything's constantly changing, isn't it? People's feelings towards us, our families, maybe our kids, our environment. I remember growing up around this neighborhood, and it was never like this. I would see more kids running around with me back in the day. Now they're not there. And that's just how it is. That's just what happens. That's just what happens. But I really do think that having a kid has opened my eyes up to that, to the idea of this all ends at some point. Me talking to you guys will end at some point. You guys watching and listening to me will end at some point. And sometimes I'll look at my son and realize that, I mean, as young as I am, obviously I'm young, blah, blah, blah. I've heard this before, and some people don't get it, but to me, I look at my son and I hug him tighter every time, because he won't be there anymore one day, or I won't be here anymore one day. And that's scary. It's a scary fact, but it's all scary, isn't it? It really all is scary. And once you step in, once you take that deep dive, start the podcast, start whatever, start the class, start the project, you realize that that vast ocean that you saw so big and wide and so challenging, fucking thunderstorms, all that shit, it was yay deep. Yay deep. It was so fucking shallow that you could stand up and walk right through it. You really can. I believe you really can. It's just a matter of taking the initiative, of saying, this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to do it. Sure, there's going to be bumps and hiccups and curves and waves and crashes along the way. But isn't that all part of it? Isn't that part of like the career you're trying to build? I don't know. I really think that we are all meant for something bigger than us. And it's scary. But as scary as it is, we must commit. Because without commitment, what are we? Unfortunately, in my life, I have not always been committed to people, to things. And reflecting on it, I realized that me not committing was a fear of self-joy. Of maybe I have something good and I don't want to lose it. Of maybe this will work for me and I don't want to leave. Like this, if this breaks me, like that's why you're not fully there. That's why you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because your mind is taking you to another area, this negative area, yet your body wants to stay, yet your soul wants to stay. Yet your heart wants to stay. Yet your mind wanders off. And it's tough. It's tough getting out of that head. It's tough getting out of that mindset. You got the little angel over here and the little devil over here. Sometimes the devil's bigger, honestly. But it can never beat you. Only if you let it. That little angel, as small as he is, that little voice will never steer you wrong. That little voice in your head will always tell you how it is. And it's hard. It's hard to just hear it and say, all right, let's do it, bitch. Let's fucking get it on. Let's get it going. And once you start speaking like that to yourself, once you start telling yourself, hey, bitch, move on. Let's keep going. Push yourself. Move up. Stand up. Don't give up. Once you start doing that, little by little, day by day, your brain doesn't know the difference between don't give up and give up. All your brain knows is your body doesn't want to do it anymore. That's it. All your body knows is that it doesn't want to do it anymore. It's what's inside your brain that's going to keep you going. It really is. You hear about all these crazy miracles that happen all because people refuse to give up. People refuse to give in. And it's all about persistence. And along with persistence, I also think that there should also be forgiveness. Forgiveness towards yourself for allowing yourself to think so little of you. I think you need to forgive that past version of you who's done you wrong and dirty and just say, hey, motherfucker, I get it. I've never been 18 before. This is my first time in school. This is my first day. Like, you have to forgive yourself for not knowing, because none of us do. And that's basically what the whole premise of this podcast is that I don't know. As silly as that is, I don't know, but I want to learn. Teach me. And that's really where the name came from. Is that I knew so much that I didn't know. I knew that I didn't know so much that I just had to accept that. You have to accept being the dumbest person out there in order to grow. Because if you've made mistakes and stuff like that, you pretty much are in your world. You're the dumbest person you know. And it's up to you whether you keep it that way. And I'm not saying I'm the most intellectual person, not by any fucking means. That's not what I'm saying. If that's what you got from this, then you're not fucking listening. But it's there, guys. It really is there in your head. It has to be that spark. That spark isn't just for everybody. There's NPCs walking around the earth. I tend to do this a lot. Maybe it's not healthy. Maybe it's not good, but I tend to do this a lot. Let's just say this was like a bus or a subway or whatever. Personally, I haven't been on the bus or the subway in a long time, but let's just say it was. Any kind of event that you're at, just literally stop and look around at what people are doing. And it's so fucking robotic. Even just walking around, roam the streets. People are mundane. People are just fucking lost. And personally, I don't feel like that. I don't feel that if you look at me, there's roboticness. There's any kind of NPC in me. I don't think that. Maybe there is, maybe there's not to them, but I don't give a fuck. Because I know what I'm doing here and I know what I'm trying to build here. So that just goes to show you the premise. That's the whole foundation of your belief. You could say my podcast is shit. You could say anything. You could say that my podcast won't do great. You could talk shit. But that doesn't stop the fact that there's 50 plus hours of me out there. That doesn't stop the fact that there's Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, Castbox, all of that. Twitter. It doesn't stop that. You know what I mean? Like, it's there. There's proof that as shit as this is, I'm trying, and yet you're there talking. Sorry about that motorcycle. And I don't know. lately I think we'll end the podcast with this, but lately I've been reading and listening and watching so much, so much, like you guys don't even understand, of Walt Disney. And I know that seems funny, Walt Disney, what the fuck? Like, what are you, 7? Well, hear me out. Walt Disney was this guy who built this fucking empire like you don't believe. Everybody knows who Mickey is. People in Japan, people in Argentina, people in fucking Mexico, people here. Like, everybody knows who Walt Disney was. And what made him so special, guys, was just that he was so relentless in his ability to create. He knew that no matter what happened, as long as I create something good and something better that people will like, it'll stick. And watching all these documentaries and reading and all this shit, it just fucking blew my mind. Because so many naysayers would tell him, no. And he's like, watch, motherfucker, watch. I'll see you here next month. Just give me a month. I'll be right back. And he'll go out, fucking create Donald Duck, Goofy, come back, and they'll be like, oh shit, he's a fucking imperial god. And it's not that. It really isn't, guys. It's not that. It's just that relentless fucking imagination that you have to give it. You just have to put it all. And I don't know if it was him exactly, but I did read somewhere where he said that if you create with soul and if you create with joy, it'll reflect on your work. And I think that's true. I think that's very true for a lot of us. I don't think anybody will ever be like him again. He really was like state of the art, fucking top notch dude. I don't know what his fucking like business practices were like. I don't know how he ran his businesses. I do know he liked women. He had his full department of people who would outline basically the frame by frame pictures, who would actually go in and, I forget what, inking, I think they call it, the ink department, but they would just go in and really do all the fine details and basically just put the movie all together, make it look really nice. But that was all run by women. But him as a person, guys, I think is a great example as to somebody you should try to shape up to be. Not because I want you guys to create the next fucking Mickey Mouse, or not because I want you guys to start fucking drawing, but just simply for the fact that his imagination was so vast and so big and so futuristic that it's all still here. He left it for us. And there's another great quote that says, sure, you can't take anything when you leave, but you definitely can leave it here. And there's only one thing we can take to the grave, guys. There's only one thing, and that's our dreams. But the way I see it, I plan and intend to leave them here for people to enjoy and people to see and people just to do with it as they wish. They could tell me their shit when I'm past. They could be some fucking robot AI guy later on in the future who's like, oh, who's this fucking dickhead talk about don't know podcast? Yes, he definitely does know shit. Like, I don't care. It's all there for you. Life, it's coming from you, not at you. And things will be better. Things will be great. I definitely hope that you guys have had a wonderful Wednesday. I definitely hope that you guys have ideas, and I hope you guys are filled with blessings and joy and amazement, and you guys experience everything that life has to offer in its fullest. And with that being said, guys, I think that'll be a wrap on this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I don't have it on right now. Maybe next episode I'll have it on. But if you want a Don't Know Podcast hoodie, it says Don't Know Podcast with Louis Vanco. All black, decked out, hoodie, nice. Go out, check out the don'tknowmerch.bigcartel.com website. It's all there. It's all there for you. And if you're not gonna buy anything, at least just check it out, see what the website's about, see if you like it, see if you don't. Just get to know me a little further, things like that. Check out all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Louis Vanko, look me up, Louis Vanko or Don't Know Podcast. I'm sure it'll come up. Hashtag Don't Know Podcast, that's important. I've been using the hashtag Don't Know Podcast for a lot of things, so you should be able to look up hashtag Don't Know Podcast and my beautiful fucking face will come out. So thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have been great. This has been an awesome Wednesday. You guys have the lights a little bit brighter now. Unfortunately, it's not nighttime, but maybe next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have been great. Mental Health May. Keep an eye out for the next one towards the end of the month. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.